it's very weird for kids. If you really think about what's happening with kids, like any kid that has a smartphone, people just leave you give your kid a phone, just leave them alone. Like they just they go to school, they go to their friend's house. They have that phone independently of you. They could look at whatever the fuck they want. Some of this shit that I see just on Instagram, I don't know how these guys are doing it. And I don't know how it's getting recommended in my feed, but it's like videos of people getting murdered. You know, see a lot of those?
Simulated porn.
I haven't seen that
stuff. I am.
You and I have different algorithms. You fucking creep.
But then someone gets taken down for something that's like they call it porn and it's not porn or something. Like, well, do you guys not see what else is on this platform?
I think that what's going on is that they're managing at scale. I think it's virtually impossible to stop all that stuff from coming in, and people that have individual situations where people get banned. I mean, I don't know why they're getting banned. Are they getting banned because of an algorithm? Are they getting banned because they post misinformation? Or what are they getting banned for?
Harassment photos. Someone was joking about a friend, you know, like
they get reported.
Yeah, I don't know how it's all working when it breaks down to individual circumstances. But.
You had a good conversation with Jordan Peterson. He was talking about the more you have this kind of virtualization, the more you allow the psychopaths to reign free.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So like the more we have artificially generated porn, the more we have artificially generated violence, photorealistic violence.
Yeah.
The more you make it normal for you to be basically a psychopath in the digital space, enable that and make that okay, and then you forget what it's like to actually be a good human being.
And then also part of the problem may be that we may very well be looking at a world, whether it's 10 years from now, 20 years from now, whatever it is, where these children that have grown up in this environment now have a completely different way of looking at people and the world because of all these interactions they have. It's flavored their personality. And then we move into a digital world of we're not there yet in terms of virtual reality. It's not good enough. I mean, I think that's what we're seeing with the meta failure. Mm-hmm. People were expecting, a lot of people were just going to dive in and start wearing goggles all over the house. But it's not quite there yet. Yeah. There's also something weird for people. There's something really weird about wearing these head goggles and walk. It's really fun. I really enjoy the boxing games. You ever done any of them?
No, in VR, no.
They're great. You get a workout. You legitimately get a workout because you're actually sparring against like a computer character. It's throwing punches at you. You're moving your head. And so you have these things in your hands and, you know, you get tired. It's good.
It feels realistic.
A little bit. You know, when you get hit with a punch, your face lights up. You get a flash of light, which is kind of cool because you're like, oh, Jesus. You know, you feel it like you're getting hit. There's some really fun games. There's one where you walk a plank across these two buildings and you hear the wind whistle and shit.
Oh, that one is terrifying.
There's zombie ones. There's a lot of cool ones, but people are just not buying into it the way they buy into Xbox and PlayStation. They're not like wholesale committed to this yet, but they will be. It's gonna be so fucking good that instead of like having it in a goggle form where it's like this big clunky thing on you, it's gonna be very easy to do. Well, when they get to that, woo.
I've been revisiting some classic books recently, just doing a reading list, and one of them that captures this extremely well that I recommend, that I think most people read in like middle school or something, but it's actually very relevant, is Brave New World. So a lot of people, including Jordan Peterson, worry about 1984, sort of a a dystopia that represents a totalitarian state. But Brave New World there's no centralized government that's like dogmatically controlling everything, surveilling everything. They basically created this world where sex is easy, everyone's promiscuous. Genetic engineering removes any kind of diversity, any kind of interesting, dark, bad diversity that we would think of, like the Hunter S. Thompsons and the Bukowskis, the weirdos of society. And then he gives you drugs, soma, it basically gives you pleasure whenever you want if you start feeling a little too shitty about your life. And that's actually
closer to us,
and it doesn't seem, the way he writes about it, it sounds bad. Like, we don't want that. But then you're like, you start to ask a question like, well, at which point would we realize it's bad? Because it's constantly, obviously we should do genetic engineering to remove any kind of like maladies that we have, any kind of diseases. It's like everything is an obvious step forward, but then the place you end up at, Just like with sex, like, is it good to have artificial images of as many as you want, as much porn as you want, as much sex as you want? Is that good? As much awesome stuff as you want, is that good? Is that what human flourishing looks like? Or do you want to have some constraints, some limitations, some finiteness of resources, some scarcity? Maybe that's actually fundamental for human happiness. Having too much of awesome stuff, maybe that destroys the possibility of real, meaningful, deep happiness.
It certainly does. But I think the question really becomes, are we going to stay people? Because I don't think we are. I think we're moving in that general direction anyway. I think that probably is why we have this, it's almost inevitable if you have this addiction to cell phone issue, because everybody has that. If you have a cell phone and you're on your social media apps during the day and you're on YouTube, you're probably addicted, whether you realize it or not. And the number of hours that you put on those things is shocking. When you actually look at your screen time, you're like, 6 hours? I was on my phone for 6 hours? What the fuck did I do? And you'll try to rationalize it and justify it, but what that's doing to young people is got to be very strange. And if that, along with all the contaminants that are affecting the way people develop, which are, Dr. Shanna Swan from the book Countdown talks about this.